I'm taking this opportunity to show you how we can get involved with the growing durum wheat. I know the durum is mostly in swift current, those southern Saskatchewan, but it's also good for southeast Alberta areas. So what I'm going to talk about is some of the research we did in swift current and show you how to improve durum wheat yield and also reduce the carbon footprint. So I'll give you a little bit of look at the general trend of durum production and the choice of a cropping system, management options for soil nitrogen, and finally we'll look how the productivity related to environment footprint. As you know, the prairie province, 32 million hectares of farmland. We represent about 82% of Canada's total farmland. So what we do is quite significant for the whole country's economy. And over 90% of durum wheat is concentrated on the southwest Saskatchewan and southeast Alberta. If you look at this prairie map, it's basically on that the brown soil zone on the corner of southeast the Alberta and southwest Saskatchewan on that corner. Now, durum wheat has been developing really fast in the last 15, 20 years. And lots of new cultivars were developed from Swift Current Research Center. And this graph just basically gives you a trend to look what changes on the durum variety. I'm not sure if you can see this. This is a strong field. Strong field, the variety developed in 2014. This variety has been significantly increased in terms of acreage. And up to last few years, there is a new variety called CDC Verona, which developed from University of Saskatchewan Crop Development Center. So this variety coming to the market, which has a very high yield and high protein content. And if you were the durum grower before, you know that the cow, this is the red line. Cow has been on the prairie for many, many years, and still some growers using those cow. But there are lots of new cultivars available, and for example, the strong field and the CDC Verona you can choose. And we look at the data from Saskatchewan Crop Insurance Corporation in the last 15 years, and we see that the majority of durum wheat and red line is grew on the using no-till stubble direct seeding. But still some growers using summer fallow, so they put in the durum wheat on the summer fallow. Looks like the same trend as no-till, but they do have a percentage of growers using the summer fallow. Now this is looking at the trend for grain yield in the last 14 years up to 2013, because I don't have data from the recent 2-3 years. And it's interesting, if I make a linear regression, you can see the general trend, although the yield up and down over the time, but in general, the yield has been increasing. I did a linear regression analysis. That's this slope showing that from 2001 up to 2013, and the durum wheat on the prairie has increased yield by 89.6 kilo per hectare per year, just about 100 pounds per acre. So which is really good. I think a part of those new cultivars and also for improved crop management. Now, looking for the durum, how the most Saskatchewan durum growers doing, of course, in the past, it's basically we call conventional wheat monoculture. So some farmers using the wheat, or wheat, maybe 1 year fallow. But this has been changed, and on this corner, on the right lower, showing the mostly diversified rotation system. Even in southwest Saskatchewan, those drier area, canola, mustard has doing extremely well. Of course, lentil, pea, chickpea. So we have quite a diversified cropping system in the last 10 some years. On the left bottom is more I called post-intensified rotation, because lentil, as you know, the market price has been so great, and also the fixed nitrogen. And lots of growers using intensified rotations. So they do use lentil, pea, and with cereal or canola, or even some guy using lentil after lentils, which is not recommended, but just to show you what's going on. So really the durum, we know that durum is a crop that need lots of nitrogen because you make a high protein, high gluten content. So lots of growers has learned that they grow durum wheat is one of the best approach is to grow the nitrogen fixer crop in a rotation prior to durum wheat. This is the lentil in Saskatchewan. This is a pea, field pea. This is the chickpea. And all of those crops, you can see those are the nodules on the root. And those nodules, I call them as a natural nitrogen fixer manufacturer. So each of those nodules, they do fix a lot of nitrogen. And based on the calculation per acre of a crop, we can have 30 million number of nodules on roots, which fix a lot of nitrogen. So, of course, you're looking at a system approach from 1 year to another year. So this is the lentil, is not intercropping, the lentil rotating with durum wheat. So basically, direct seeding process, this is a lentil. So directly seeded on the standing stubble, we have a scientist, Herb Cutfors, and his study showing that you leave those stubble higher, like 30, 40 centimeter when you harvest. That taller stubble will improve macro environment conditions and help those small crops like lentil to stand up better in the next year. So this is a rotation we have been doing in Swift Current from 1979. Now it's over 35 years, so looking lentil with durum rotation. Okay, one of the concern is the cost. So this graph basically I put all the cost together for different crops. Those different colors, just a different source of cost, like seed, nitrogen fertilizer, pesticides, seed treatment, and fuel for your used machine, repairing, labor, crop insurance, and other costs. So basically, durum wheat is a crop actually costs less on the very top, because the major cost is for fertilizer, and the other ones you don't cost a lot, like pesticides, compared to other crops. Second is the yellow pea. Third is the yellow mustard. Then the green lentil. Then the Kabuli chickpea. The lentil and the chickpea, they do cost more. Those color you can see, those pink color is the seed, cost from seed. And the green is the cost from the pesticides, and the yellow is the crop insurance. Those are the three major costs to growing those legume crops. Now this graph is pretty busy, but I want to show you the 4-year crop rotation we did in Swift Current. And from very top is we called cereal monoculture. So all of the years in the 4 years, wheat, and wheat. And the second is we grow pea. After pea, we 3 years wheat. Then the rest is just kind of more diversified, using pea, then the wheat, lentil or pea, then the wheat. And to the bottom is more using lentils, like this is the lentil, wheat, and lentil, chickpea, pea, wheat. Then you have chickpea, wheat, continuous chickpea than the wheat. Because in Swift Current area, it's a chickpea country, so we try to see what happens if we have too much chickpea in the rotation. So this is basically the total cost for growing those rotation crops. Again, of course, on the top is the wheat. That's a cost list. If you go to below those and you have a chickpea wheat, or chickpea wheat, and it costs a lot of money because seeds cost, pesticides cost, and the crop insurance cost. Now this is from that same rotation. Then we look in the net income over the 4-year rotation. And you can see the highest income. Well, I see those are no significant difference in that shade area. But the highest is in the last few years has been lentil wheat, or lentil wheat, chickpea wheat. This is the lentil chickpea pea wheat. So those graph shows that in the 4 years, although the wheat, the cost less or least, but also the net income is low. And once we have more lentils or pea or chickpea in those rotation, they cost more, but the net income is also, with those lentils, peas cost more, but net income is also higher. So we have a balance, between the cost and the net returns. Now, one of the biggest things for growing the canola and the cereal crops is the nitrogen. So most of you know the nitrogen cycle, and I'll give you very quick how the nitrogen is cycling. Actually, as you know, in the atmosphere, 78% of molecule is nitrogen. So how we can get those nitrogen from air to the ground, that is what we do. And so those nitrogen from atmosphere can come to the land through precipitation. That's a very small part. And those through lightning and weather fixation. Another important the way is through rhizobia inoculation to fix nitrogen through nodules. That's through legume crops. So those fixed nitrogen come to the field. Of course, what we most familiar is fertilizer. So those fertilizers, the manufacturer, they take nitrogen from atmosphere, make a fertilizer, and sell. But those fertilizers applied to the ground can run off and leach into the water, or go into the soil, become ammonia nitrogen. Now, as you know, those ammonia nitrogen can, through a denitrification process, to become nitrate or nitrite. Those nitrate and nitrite can denitrify to become a nitrogen gas, back to the air. So this is what we don't want to see. So we want to stop somewhere, so we can use those red arrows, make those nitrogen available to the plants rather than evaporate to the atmosphere. Of course, another way is soil organic matter. Soil organic matter like animal manure and so on, those through mineralization, they can change it to ammonia nitrogen, which is also available to the plants. So this is just kind of a quick rundown, and we understand where those nitrogen come from and how we can manage them. So growing different crops in previous year will affect the nitrogen remained in the soil after harvest. And those nitrogen actually will change by the next year when you grow the next year crop. This graph showing that on the bottom is the crops we grow last year, previous year. So we have a daisy chickpea, kabuli chickpea, dry bean, green pea, yellow pea, fava bean, summer fallow, Clearfield lentil, large green lentil, red lentil, small green lentil, and barley. So this is the crops we grew previous fall. Then looking at how much nitrogen in the next spring, So this, the green bar is the nitrogen left in the soil when you harvest the crop. Those red bar is how much nitrogen they add to that nitrogen pool during those winter period of time. Because in the winter to next spring, and lots of straw in the soil will decompose and produce more nitrogen. So the red and the yellow bar, the green bars are the nitrogen they produced newly added to the soils. You can see those different crop you grew previous year has significant difference to the nitrogen you will find in the soil in the next spring. This black bar is the summer fallow. The summer fallow has lots of nitrogen, but there are less than the nitrogen we found in some of those legume crops. Now, looking at 4-year crop rotation, we measured how the post-crops in the rotation affect those nitrogen. This is showing that the different color is the different frequency of legume in the rotation. The black bar is in the 4 years, we have 3 legume. This is, of course, is extremely high legume in the rotation. And the pink bar is the 2 legume in the 4 years. And then the blue is 1 legume in the 4 year, and the yellow is no legume in the 4 year. You can see that, of course, you have more legume in the rotation system. You will see even during the 4 years, you got lots the nitrogen in the soil. So how to utilize those nitrogen in the soil is what we're looking for. To utilize them, we can reduce the fertilizer nitrogen. Now, this graph shows that on the top, this is called continuous wheat, and the lentil wheat rotation. So over the mentioned in started 1979 and up to today still running. So the Durum wheat growing the continuous wheat had the same yield as Durum wheat grow in the lentil wheat rotation. There's not much difference. But what difference is that the black bar is the continuous wheat, how much nitrogen we have put in that rotation every year. The blue bar is the nitrogen we put in the lentil wheat rotation. Because we put less nitrogen in that rotation, on the right, those graphs show you nitrogen use efficiency. That means how much grain we can produce per kilo of nitrogen you applied. So using those crops, we increased the nitrogen use efficiency quite significantly. Another thing is we looked at the soil carbon change. During the 25 years, we only measured the 2009. The trial still continue, but we have not measured yet. So this is showing that from 1985 to today, to 2009, and the soil carbon has been increasing quite significantly. But they are different in the black bar is a continuous wheat. And the rest is in a rotation we have summer fallow. Because this is started 1979, by those time we have lots of summer fallow. So the 2 years then fallow or 3 years fallow. This case we have fallow every 5 years or every 3 years or every another years. So the fallow field, they do actually, the carbon is not lots increase compared to the continuous wheat. Now, this is looking the greenhouse gas emission. Because these days, we're looking crop production, we also try to reduce greenhouse gas emission. On the top is the emission caused by the crop input. So different color is from different input like the fertilizer, nitrogen, the phosphate, pesticides, other pesticides, farmer operation, crop residue, fallow effect, all of those costs. So the crop input emits the total of greenhouse gas on the top. But on the bottom is, if we have soil organic carbon increased over the time, this is how much carbon the fixed by those crops, particular roots, residue deposit, and the nodules, and spawn you back to the soil. So this graph shows that if we do things right, we increase soil organic carbon, so those carbon can offset the carbon emission from crop input. I hope you get this message. So we got crop input, you emit carbon emission. If you sequester more carbon back to the soil, then you can offset those carbon from crop input. So that's the way we calculate the carbon footprint. Now this graph shows the carbon footprint. What's the carbon footprint? On the bottom, they're showing that. So what a carbon footprint is, kilo CO2 equivalent per kilo of grain you produced. So each kilo of grain you produced, how many kilo of CO2 emission come from that production? That calculates the carbon footprint. So on the left, they're showing the various different rotation system in 3 years. On the very top is we have post-Durum wheat, post-oilseed Durum wheat, post-cereal Durum, cereal post-Durum, and on the very bottom is the cereal Durum. So various different rotation system, and looking at the carbon footprint, how much we can reduce. So using that cereal Durum as a control on the bottom, the top of those rotation, we reduced carbon footprint by 20 to 35%. So this result showed that if we do things right, we can significantly reduce the carbon footprint from crop production. So just putting those the studies together, we learned that growing Durum in a more diversified crop rotation system, that system will allow you to do all of this, increase the crop yield, and we can definitely improve nitrogen use efficiency, particular fertilizer you applied to the cereal crop. And over the years, you will see increased soil organic carbon and a reduced environmental footprint. In the past, we are less care about environmental footprint, but recent years, we do care about that very much. So we're looking at the increased yield and reduce the environment, the footprint. And because the soil organic carbon put in the soil, you improve the physical, chemical, and biological property of the soil. Then the soil become more sustainable, more productive over the years and for generations to come. So we do care about the soil health, and soil quality. And growing those crops with that diversified rotation, improved management system, we can reach the fertility in the soil and make a long-term sustainability. My research in Swift Current, we got lots of the funding, the support, and this is the various supporting funding partners. And over the years, we have some graduate students and postdoctoral fellows involved in some of the study, particularly looking at some soil biological properties in recent years. Those students has gone, they stay for 1 year or 2 years and then gone. So, but in normal cases, we have 1 or 2 students with the program. That's all I want to share with you. Then study from Swift Current, and hopefully some of those information can be used in the Alberta farming system. Thank you very much.
So we have time for questions for Yantai. Hi Yantai. Yantai and I are new friends for a long time. Yeah. Good to see you here. Questions?
You do the bigger crowd, so everybody shy.
There's got to be a question up there somewhere. You had a 3-year rotate. Why would you not have a 4 years?
Question is, we have 3 years rotation. Why not look at 4-year rotation? Actually, we do have a full-year rotation in another slide. So we have, in swift corn, we have several different rotation systems. So you have a 2-year rotation, actually, lentil, wheat, durum, lentil, wheat, those rotation. And we do have 3-year rotation with cereal, oilseeds, and pulses. And I do have a 4-year rotations. I showed those cost and net return. But you know, which rotation we choose is really depends the situation. Sometimes this is better than another. So it's not just fixed to say, okay, this is the rotation we have to go. On the back.
Did you see any disease impacts up or down depending on which rotation? Can you comment on that?
Yes, if we have disease situation in those different rotations, yes, definitely. As I mentioned, that lentil wheat rotation started in 1979. Bob, actually, we have lots of weeds problem. Weeds even more than disease. And in the last few years, we looked at durum wheat and the lentil field, has lots of grass weeds or broadleaf weeds, and some anthracnose disease on the lentil. And we have not looked the much cereal disease rather than leaf spots. And Miriam Fernando is a pathologist in swift corn. She did find that more leaf spot disease on the durum wheat if we use a more intensified rotation system.